Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and guess what? Now in Davos, yesterday I think we showed where the NASDAQ CEO was saying that the IPO market was about to crank up, and here we have the New York Stock Exchange. I think it's the CEO. Let's see.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and I'm incredibly optimistic about 2024. And the pipeline of companies that we're working with. We actually had an IPO last week to open the market, Smith Douglas Homes, who had an incredibly successful IPO, particularly given the industry that they operate in. Priced at the high end of the range, stock opened up 15% on IPO day and has continued to trade at that level. Gives us a lot of reason for optimism. And we're working with quite a few companies who are on the road at the moment to debut them in the next couple of weeks. So I think you're going to start to see some companies come out in the next couple of weeks, not just in the next couple of months.
Can you weigh in on this whole Sheen situation?
There you go. So they see it coming. We know that Link2, who is my sponsor, Link2 is going to file. We know that Circle has filed. Brad Garlinghouse is acting like, we don't have to, but I've always felt like Ripple will come out of nowhere. No telling who else is going to file. Now, Jamie Dimon is bad talking Bitcoin again at Davos. Some of what he's saying is true. I'll tell you which parts.
Cryptocurrencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think of a crypto
XRP.
An embedded smart contract in it, and that we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing things.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock. The Bitcoin or something like that.
Bitcoin. I've been telling you all along, Bitcoin is not, it was never Bitcoin. I've been saying it for years now. The only way Bitcoin survives is if it's allowed to survive, because they know who the four Satoshis are. This is something that's always made me nervous. Wait till you hear the end of what he says. I'm going to play the whole thing. I think it's worth you hearing.
And so on the Bitcoin, there's, first of all, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. There are use cases. AML, fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking. Those are real use cases.
He would know about sex trafficking, by the way, since his company was heavily involved in Epstein Island and the sex trafficking.
And you see it being used for hundreds, maybe $50 or $100 billion a year for that. That is the end use case. Everything else is people train among themselves. So
speculate.
Yeah. Now my last statement. The last time I ever talk about Bitcoin is I defend your right to do Bitcoin. I think, it's okay. I don't want to tell you what to do. So my personal advice would be don't get involved. But I don't want to tell any one of you what to do. It's a free country.
What do you make of BlackRock? What do you make of the other firms, the BlackRocks of the world that obviously, and Larry Fink changed his view of this, obviously. Yeah. And maybe he changed his view because you think he genuinely believes in Bitcoin, or believed it because he thinks that there's a marketplace for it and he wants to be part of that market. But what do you think of there's about a dozen big financial companies, Fidelity included.
Number one, I don't care. So just please stop talking about this shit. And I don't know what he would say about blockchain versus currencies that do something versus Bitcoin that does nothing.
Yeah, I have a feeling
maybe that's not different than me. But this is what makes a market. People have opinions. This is the last time I'm ever going to state my opinion.
Gold really didn't do anything either.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think?
Ooh, listen to this part. So in other words, Jamie Dimon knows all about gold, by the way. And by the way, Miles Franklin is my gold sponsor. They're in the description. Use DAI Gold as the code. You can call them or send an email. It's all in the description of this video. Go check it out. I'm a gold guy.
Huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20...
Now, folks, before you listen to what he says, I want to remind you, Bitcoin was hatched in 2008 in the financial crisis. Written into the code was that a reference to the bailouts. This thing was intentionally created to look like a libertarian movement by the government. I don't know which government. I've always said this. the fact that they won't talk at all about the fact that Homeland Security met with the 4 Satoshis. Look, I've always said they're either going to allow this thing to survive because a bunch of rich people own a lot of it, or they're going to kill it. But the fact that they're not being honest about what it is makes me a little nervous. I do own about 1.5 Bitcoin, but I'm cautious about Bitcoin because I think that they could do that, because I think they're behind it. Listen to what he says.
Bitcoins,
they go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? I've never met one person who told me they know for a fact they take that
mathematically, it can't happen, because by the last one will be mined in 2150, and it gets harder and harder every time there's another halving. But Jamie, looking back over,
you guys do what you want, I'll do what I want.
As for gold, you can the 6 characteristics that make gold valuable for 4,000 years. They're all present in Bitcoin. That's all I'll say. And I love you, and I don't want to. And I also don't want to be a.
You may, Joe. You may be right.
Yeah.
I don't own gold either. So okay.
That's what I mean.
Couple.
I don't believe that. So check this out. So this is the author of The Great Taking. Now listen to what he says when asked about Bitcoin. This is interesting.
One of my Bitcoin maximalists said, is Bitcoin exempt? And I'll just fill in a little bit of what we had on a conversation, and that is, it's free of government, it's decentralized, there's no CEO, and to turn off Bitcoin, they have to turn off electricity. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin, or maybe other cryptos? I'll throw that in, as far as being an asset class that might not be taken in the Great Taking.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fine. People should diversify. I wouldn't lean too heavily on any one thing. It's a time to really think differently about diversifying. So could Bitcoin be a reasonable diversification? Yes. I personally have suspicions about Bitcoin because here's my problem. It emerged during the last financial crisis out of nowhere in that context.
Yep. Right as you would start losing faith in your country's financial industry because they were bailing out their friends.
And it has been, no payment system is allowed by this central bank card.
Unless they're involved in it.
It's things like this would be attacked and destroyed. You wouldn't be allowed to,
unless they can control it. That was always going to happen. Unless they could control it, they'll destroy it. Now, they may know that by opening up the ETF like BlackRock, that they can control Bitcoin and allow it to live for that reason. That's a possibility.
For example, for a long time, you could buy and sell it, and it wasn't even taxable to do that. Yep. They certainly, the body language is that they were the most positive face you could put on it is they were studying it, that they just wanted to see kind of how it worked and how it was adopted. But come on, you have to understand, they do not want parallel systems. They do not want people to be autonomous. So it's a judgment call as to whether it has been allowed. You have to watch and see what you think about that. I am concerned that there is a back door into it, that it could be taken away at some point. I favor real things.
Gold. Okay, but then check this out. This is from Black Swan Capitalist. Listen to this guy talking about gold.
We don't want to get ruled by the U.S. on a worldwide basis. So particularly China, but Russia and some India, some of the other countries are in the process of creating a dual system of payment, of currency to counteract the U.S. dollar. And so these central banks are buying gold as a reserve currency. Will they use gold to back a new currency or a basket of currency? Will they use a crypto kind of currency backed by the Chinese government? We don't know. What I do believe, though, is that at the end of the day, you will end up with a dual world in terms of system of payment and the currency you pay.
Ah, very interesting. Oh, by the way, Zero Hedge, hush money, JP Morgan pays $18 million fine for violating whistleblower protection rules, but Jamie Dimon still doesn't go to jail. Then we've got Raoul Paul. He's talking about his Don't F This Up campaign.
You also have this new motto phrase, don't fuck this up. What is that? And what is that really, I think, kind of reinforcing to people as we go into 2024 and 2025?
Look, you've been around this for a long time. We've all made the mistakes and everybody makes mistakes. It's very hard dealing with an asset, let's say crypto, that is very volatile, but when it runs, it really runs. And you become overwhelmed by emotion. FOMO, you see your friends bought that 100x dog coin and you're like, I want some of that. You want to look for 100x's as opposed to just own some Bitcoin, and if you want to own some ETH and if a few of the big projects and just buy and hold. But people don't do it. They want to start trading it because they think they can make more money. Also, they custody things wrong. People start thinking, I want the extra 5% yield by sticking it into some project of which they know nothing about the security of. And the don't fuck this up is don't let somebody take your tokens. Don't trade and hold quality assets. If you can do that with 90% of your portfolio, you will do well. Keep 10% to be a total filthy degen. Do what the hell you want, because that will go to zero. We've all got the wallet of shame, right? Every single one of us has a wallet of shame of shrapnel left for the previous cycle that didn't do anything. So don't fuck it up is trying to protect people from themselves.
I agree with most of that. Brad Garlinghouse is reminding everyone, I do think the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, is a political liability in the United States, and I think he's not acting in the interest of the citizenry. He's not acting in the interest of the long-term growth of the economy, and I don't understand it. And then he posts this meme, Gary Gensler is a political liability, change my mind, any takers? Metal Lawman is in court today at the SEC versus Coinbase update, or says the hearing will begin at 10 a.m. And he says this is the most significant this decision right here could change the game for everybody. Then just in, Ethereum Foundation has reportedly sold some of its Ethereum, again via OTC. Now, here's what's not happening. Nobody is saying, none of these guys like Vitalik Buterin, none of the people around Ethereum, one thing you don't hear any of them saying is that Ethereum, the foundation is dumping on the retail holders. This is what the same Bitcoin and ETH people have been saying about Ripple for years. Every time Ripple would sell any XRP, they're dumping, but you don't ever hear them say the same thing about the Ethereum Foundation or Consensus. And you know why you don't? Because it's all been a marketing campaign to try to scare everybody away from Ripple and XRP and make them think Bitcoin and Ethereum are the end-all be-all when they're not. And that's the fact, Jack. Now, I'm going to finish here. This is Anthony Scaramucci telling us that Gary is a self-centered liar without telling us that Gary is a self-centered liar.
I just think what Jeremy's saying is so clear that we have politicized the regulation of businesses. And so when you do that, you slow down growth and you slow down innovation. And I talk to regulators from around the world, whether in the Middle East, in Asia, Europe, and they try to allow the regulatory authority to have some political independence. It's almost like the Fed versus having somebody like Elizabeth Warren say, hey, look, I hate crypto, don't really understand it. Gary, you want to be Secretary of the Treasury? Yes, I do. You now hate crypto. Yes, I do. I hate crypto. Because he doesn't hate crypto. Go watch 24 hours of his lectures at MIT. He does not hate crypto. He understands the technology. I teased him on Twitter. I used to work with him at Goldman, that he's a Bitcoin maximalist. If you really read what he's saying, but we have politics now interfering in the regulatory forces in the United States. And listen, the country I grew up in and the country I love has been the mantle of leadership for financial services for over 100 years. Why would you want to cede that mantle of leadership as a result of politics? You have people like Jeremy or Danelle living in the United States that can help innovate the financial services society. It's coming whether you like it or not. So why not just work with them to make it happen?
I want to talk.
All right. Now, going into DAIXRP.com, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, finally, someone stands up and tells Dr. Evil off. We're going to show you the video clip. The other thing we're going to talk about, I keep telling everybody in the group, or everyone, I think 2 times I've told them, I'm accumulating a certain investment right now. I'm going to talk about that, and I continue to accumulate it. I'm not telling anybody what to do because I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know your situation, but I'm talking about what I'm accumulating and why I'm accumulating it in there today. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family to come to DAIXRP.com if you'd like to watch a guy finally tell Dr. Evil off.